Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa. The name of this channel is called Gnostic Knowledge, and what I am doing on this channel is sharing the knowledge of gematria via books written by Zachary Hubbard. And I am reading his latest book, Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus. And this is the book here, and this is the gentleman that wrote the book, Zachary Hubbard. His books are about gematria. Gematria is the encoding of numbers within our letters and words. Our letters are in fact numbers, and every word we speak has a numerical value. And this alphanumeric code is synced with the Gregorian calendar. The more you read and learn about gematria, the more clearly the code becomes. And once you learn it, once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it, and which is a beautiful thing. And I am glad that Zachary Hubbard made these books available to the public. And at the end of my reading, I will tell you how to get both of these books. I've read his first book, Letters and Numbers, already on my channel, and you can go and listen to chapters 1 through 22 of that book. And but like I said, I am in chapter 14. Chapter 14 is entitled Coronavirus Predictive Programming in, is it popular media? Okay, let me just rephrase that, or say it correctly anyway. Coronavirus Predictive Programming in Popular Media. That is what chapter 14 is about. I am on page 196 and in the second paragraph of that page. So, without further ado, here we go. As for the second film in the Purge series, it released July 18th, 2014, a date associated with homicide, thanks to the San Ysidro massacre. As you know, it can be written 18/7, 18/7, like 187, the police homicide code, and a number associated with the Society of Jesus, as well as Paris, France, and Washington, D.C., which are Jesuit strongholds. In 2020, July 18th was the date pro skater Ekaterina Alexandrovskaya, and I will spell her last name, Alexandrovskaya. Okay? So, in 2020, July 18th, was the date pro skater Ekaterina Alexandrovskaya reportedly committed suicide, having a surname equating to 56, like Society of Jesus. The number 187 can also be associated with George Washington and ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry. To go further, December 14th, written as words, and arsenic poisoning equate to 187, and when George Washington died on December 14th, he did so with a Jesuit doctor by his side. With the Freemasons in mind, the name New Founding Fathers, the name of the U.S. leadership in the Purge, sums to 277, the 59th prime number, and this film released on July 18th, 2014, a date with 59 numerology, a number corresponding with Keel in Jewish gematria. As you learned earlier, Freemasonry sums to 59, and from the establishment of modern Freemasonry in 1717 to the establishment of the United States of America in 1776 was 59 years later, plus 59 is the 17th prime. Plus, Independence Day also sums to 277. Plus, the 59th U.S. presidential election is taking place in 2020, where Donald Trump is the incumbent president. Plus, Obama is turning 59 years old right before it, August 4th, and his Secret Service code name Renegade equates to 59, the same as Negro and slave. For one last point on the second film, it is titled Anarchy, having gematria of 70 and 119 in the same ciphers as Vatican, and gematria of 38 as well, corresponding with pandemic and death. Moving on to the third film in the series, election year. It released July 1st, 2016, the CDC's 70th birthday, reminding us that Donald Trump became president at age 70. And Vatican, as well as coronavirus, equates to 70. Excuse me. Okay, furthermore, Trump is the 44th person to be president of the United States, something like the 44 kings of ancient Israel. And this third film in the series released on a date with 44 numerology, a number corresponding with the simple English gematria of kill, corresponding with what the film is about. As mentioned, the slogan for the film is "Keep America Great," the same as Trump's 2020 re-election slogan. Even more, election year equates to 60, the same as Donald Trump. And election year also sums to 132, reminding us of the connection between the Catholic Church, United States of America, and the number of rooms in the White House. The fingerprints in total are incriminating. As for the fourth film in the series, it released July 4th, 2018, Independence Day, summing to 74 as well as 277, 59th prime number, and being a right day for killing, as we learned about in the first chapter. This film is focused on the very first purge, set in 2017, 59, 17th prime number, okay? And in light of the 59 connections, it is noteworthy that the second, third, and fourth films focus on predominantly poor and black communities that the new founding fathers see as undesirable, thus why these communities are targeted by mercenary killers paid for by the new founding fathers. Every annual purge, a very central part of the storyline. As another reminder, the words slave, Negro, Rasta, and blues each equate to 59 with simple English. And if you want to go further, so does tobacco, the product that was related to the killings of Eric Garner, Michael Brown, and George Floyd, a product that has been big business since the time of slavery, and something we'll discuss further ahead. As for the name of the fourth film in the series, The First Purge, it equates to 71, the same as African American and Birth of a Nation, the latter being a film that was said to disappoint at the box office when it only brought in $7.1 million in its opening weekend after debuting October 7, 2016, emphasis on 710 or 7/1 because you don't pay attention to the zero. Never mind that the film was about Nat Turner, the slave who led an uprising and who was executed on November 11th, 1831, a date with 71 numerology, or that the George Floyd killing video went viral on May 26, 2020, a date with 71 numerology as well. As we know, Catholic sums to 71, and it is the 20th prime number, reminding us that in 2020, races were provoked worldwide in ways they hadn't been for decades in the election year for Donald Trump, the agent provocateur, a term having gematria of 201. To go further, the name The First Purge sums to 172 with simple English, the same as Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam, the Jesuit motto meaning for the greater glory of God. Regarding the number 172, it is another favorite number of the Jesuits, reminding us that Jeff Bezos set a new record in personal wealth, becoming valued at $172 billion 172 days after his 56th birthday on July 2nd, 2020. In the same story, it is said his Amazon stocks were up 56% for the year, And for another layer, you could also say it was his 173rd day of his age, and Roman Catholicism sums to 173 with simple English. For another example of the relevance of 172, let us revisit Nick Cordero's death ritual, the Broadway star that we covered earlier, who passed on July 5th, 2020, 201 days after Pope Francis's birthday. What I did not mention prior is that it was also Lin-Manuel Miranda's 172nd day of his age, having been born January 16, 1980. If you are not familiar with Lin-Manuel Miranda, he is the star of Hamilton on Broadway, and he was receiving much recognition in the mainstream for his work with Hamilton. At the same time, Cordero died. For another star with a 172 connection, look no further than Michael Jordan, who was born February 17th, 1963. Emphasis on 17/2, 172. As we'll get to, it's no accident his father died at age 56, or that Kobe Bryant died while Jordan himself was at the tail end of being 56 years old. And on the subject of 56 and 172, let us not forget that V for Vendetta equates to 172, the film that pays tribute to the Jesuit Guy Fawkes, who led the gunpowder plot of November 5th, 1605, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. For some concluding remarks on The Purge, cementing who is behind these films, the fifth movie was supposed to be released June 10th, 2020, but was delayed because of the events transpiring in the world, especially the Black Lives Matter protests. It is named the Forever Purge, summing to 72, with reverse Pythagorean, the same as Society of Jesus, pairing with the fact that July 10th is the 191st day of the year, and Society of Jesus sums to 191 with simple English. Let us not forget Black Lives Matter and Society of Jesus both equate to 56 with Pythagorean. Furthermore, a television series was spawned on the date of September 4th, 2018, emphasis on 9/4, corresponding with Roman Catholic Church. This is also the date leaving 118 days in the year, matching the Jewish gematria of death and homicide. As of the time of writing this book, the last episode was December 17th, 2019, the date of Pope Francis's 83rd birthday, reminding us that murder equates to 83, and the song Murder by Numbers released in 83. Even more, 83 is the 23rd prime number, and both Purge and Wuhan equate to 23. All in all, these are not good signs for humanity, and the cabal, through their twisted Hollywood platform, are communicating very negative, planned intentions for us as a people. No matter if we are poor and black or not, keep in mind humanity is a chain, and when one part suffers, all will eventually endure suffering. And for one last thought on the television series, in the early episodes, excuse me, there are multiple important conversations, including one man describing just before his murder or purge how the government tricked him into his death by paying him to stay in his house. Think of that line in light of stimulus checks during the time of the pandemic. There is also separate dialogue in another scene about how the purge is something that came to the United States from Europe. Thanks to gematria, we can now be a lot more specific about what they're referring to. That is also backed up by history, because the Catholic Church's favorite word for purge is crusades. Absolutely. For another show with the Jesuit fingerprints all over it, predicting a viral outbreak, Look no further than Between, a title summing to 74 with simple English just like Wiley, the name of the main character of the show, a pregnant teenage girl. From the first episode on, a building commonly shown is the Central District Medical Center building, building number 201. So let me reread that. From the first episode on, a building commonly shown is the Central District Medical Center, which is building number 201. And a detail that reminds us event 201 took place on the day, leaving 74 days left in the year. Even more, the show is set in the fictional town of Pretty Lake, equating to 56, the same as coronavirus. The name of the town also sums to 133 and 137, like government, and 43, like pandemic. The first episode of season 1 is titled Schools Out, a curious name in light of what happened to our schools worldwide due to coronavirus. And with regards to the youth, this is who the show is centered on. The plot involves a conspiracy where a virus is unleashed by authorities for experimentation purposes that targets people who are 21 years of age, meaning who are over, The experimentation is for it targets people who are over 21 years of age, meaning 22 and older. Keep in mind, Wuhan sums to 22 with Pythagorean, not too far off from the year 2020, and Jesuit equates to 21 with the same cipher. So in 2020, you don't pay attention to the zeros, only the twos. That'll be 22. Alright, if you take the time to watch the show, you'll laugh in the early minutes of the first episode when it tells you it is day 4 and the death toll, having gematria of 47, is at a count of 47. As a reminder, the number 4 is associated with death, and as a second reminder, event 201 took place on a date with 47 numerology. And for one last point on the show, it released May 21st, 2015. What is interesting about this date is that in a leap year such as 2020, it is the 142nd day of the year, corresponding with coronavirus. And to prove the relevance, May 21st, 2020, NASCAR returned from its coronavirus hiatus, and true to form, on 521, where 521 is the 98th prime number, the number 98 car won, driven by Chase David Wayne Briscoe, equating to 98 with Pythagorean at the track Darlington Raceway, also equating to 98. The story was that he had just lost his son in a tragedy days before. A suspicious detail. And for another important detail, from Briscoe's 25th birthday on December 15th to the race was his 159th day of his age. This matters because Ford Mustang, Donald Trump, and Scottish Rite each equate to 159, and Donald Trump was critiqued the same day for not wearing a mask while touring the Ford plant, and Briscoe drove a Ford Mustang for the win. Again, it reminds us how sports and news are scripted together. And for one more detail, Ford and Trump equate to 25 with Pythagorean gematria, and Briscoe was aged 25 at the time. Moving on, let us rewind to the 1990s. The time of VHS tapes and video rental stores. Okay, for a couple more illustrations on how well planned this moment we're living out is. On February 26, 1993, the date of the World Trade Center bombings, the movie Falling Down released. The next time you watch the film, having a very curious name in light of what eventually happened to the World Trade Centers on September 11, 2001, pay attention to the surroundings when Michael Douglas's character destroys the convenience store in a fit of rage. You'll see in the same scene a street sign is shown, and it is none other than Corona Street. I'd call it a coincidence if I didn't know better, but I do. If I didn't know better, but I do, absolutely. And for the record, falling down equates to 54 with both Pythagorean methods, that very important number to the Jesuit order, where their logo, the sun, emphasizes its corona. Again, that film came out in 93. Reminding us that the sun is 93 million miles away from the earth on average. At least so we are told. At least so we're told. For another film that released that same year, it was Demolition Man, equating to 72 and 144 in the same ciphers as Jesuit order on October 8th, 1993, the day leaving 84 days left in the year, reminding of the gematria of Jesuit and George Orwell's 1984, a book that the film pays tribute to. This is because it was about a world changed by technology, where people are watched and listened to at all times by the government. And should they do as much as swear, they are instantly given a fine. Anyone who watches the film in the post-coronavirus era and who has read 1984 will get the jokes, including the end of toilet paper, summing to 56 like coronavirus, and also San Angeles, the future merger of San Diego and Los Angeles that Demolition Man was set in. For a couple more familiar numbers you should get a kick out of. You should get a kick out of how Sylvester Stallone's character receives a compliment for looking good at age 74, and Dennis Leary's character mentions he doesn't want to be a 47-year-old virgin. What? Another detail you won't overlook is the leader of this Orwellian city of San Angeles, who dresses like he is the Catholic Pope, and that is Dr. Raymond Cockatoo, equating to 72, like Demolition Man and Jesuit order. As for his name, Raymond Cockatoo, Cocteau, Cockatoo, alone, Raymond Cockatoo alone, it equates to 158, reminding of the Jesuit formation date, August 15th, and that at the time of coronavirus, the world has its first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. On the subject of the Pope and predictive programming, I should mention what is known as the prophecy of Saint Archbishop Malachi, and that is spelled M-A-L-A-C-H-Y. Okay? It was recorded in the year 1139 in Rome that the Archbishop of Armagh, A-R-M-A-G-H, went there and prophesied his vision that 112 popes from then there will reign Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city Rome will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. To clarify things, Pope Francis is 112 popes from then, and while his name isn't Peter the Roman, summing to 158 with simple English, he is the first Jesuit and the 266th Pope, corresponding with Iesus Hominum Salvator, equating to 266, and the phrase for what the letters IHS stand for in the Jesuit logo. Furthermore, with the emphasis on judge, a word summing to 20 with Pythagorean, we are looking at this in context of 2020, and the 20th tarot card being the Judgment card. What makes this all the more strange is the name of the prophecy of Saint Archbishop Malachi. or Malachi probably. And it sums to 352 with simple English. And in 2020, a leap year, Pope Francis' December 17th birthday will fall on the 352nd day of the year. Yeah, coincidence. Yeah, right. Boy, these mofos don't miss a beat. Of course, he is turning 84 years old that day, a man with 84 birth numerology. For a reminder, United States of America, the Catholic Church, the Jesuit Order, and Jesuit each equate to 84. I should also mention that the prophecy of Saint Archbishop Malachi equates to 163, as well the 38th prime, the number connected to pandemic as well as death. In this case, the event that could wipe out Rome is an earthquake, also equating to 163. Case in point, on July 21st, 2020, the day leaving 163 days in the year. In the year, it was reported that there was a massive 7.8 earthquake in the Gulf of Alaska. Jesuit equals 78, not far from the HAARP facility, the U.S. military technology base that has the power to quake the ground. Furthermore, it was reported the closest town to the epicenter was Perryville, equating to 56, or Perryville, Alaska, equating to 187, both numbers connecting to the Society of Jesus. And what you will learn with this knowledge is how there are even riddles carried out with weather warfare, including earthquakes. For example, the July 4th, 2019 earthquake of Southern California came exactly 1,776 days from the South Napa earthquake of August 24th, 2014, the largest in the region prior to July 4th, 2019 earthquake. And in terms of the military being responsible, that is something I cover in depth in my first book. And the evidence in the July 4th, 2019 example is that the epicenter was on a military base, and that's 1776, America's birthday. 1776. Oh my goodness. Oh man. With earthquakes on your mind, I'll remind you that many mainstream outlets publish headlines reading "half the town is gone" in relation to the August 24th, 2016 Central Italy earthquake that rocked the nation. And on my first website, I have CNN's story archived using the same phrasing and emphasis. Half the town is gone, and that's because in Pythagorean gematria it equates to 84. I also documented on my August 4th, 2016 post the incident came 35 days before the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by Rome, September 27th. To make a point about this, I want you to think of the scientist Nikola Tesla, who said he had the technology to shake the earth. He was born July 10th, the 191st day of the year, in the year 1856. Oh God. As you know, Society of Jesus sums to 56 and 191. Furthermore, the name Nikola Tesla sums to 119 with simple English, whereas Vatican sums to 119 with reverse simple. For another Catholic connection, he would die on January 7th, a date that can be written 7-1, similar to how Catholic equates to 71. Adding to the ritual, he died in 1943 at the age of 86, a number corresponding with the term 86, just like I said, 86, with the term 86 meaning to get rid of. In gematria terms, both blood sacrifice and human sacrifice equate to 86 as well. And since we're talking Nikola Tesla and numbers, it is important to remember his quote: "If you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, then you could have the key to the universe." In light of his quote, it makes you wonder if it was an accident that the August 24th, 2016 earthquake was reported to have happened at 3:36 local. That also happened to be the day of Los Angeles, California's first Kobe Bryant Day, the basketball star who played his last game in the NBA that prior April and who would go on and die in the ritual of rituals to start the year, January 26, 2020, that we will uncover ahead. And I can't wait to get to that part and read all of that. I've heard a lot of his videos, and man, this stuff is just crazy. Is Kobe dead? Is he somewhere on an island somewhere? I just don't, man. He's dead as far as the public's concerned, as far as I'm concerned, but this is just some wicked shit. Man, also important, 3:36 is the 216th minute of the day. Whew, what is the product of 6 times 6 times 6? 216 is the product of 6 times 6 times 6. And as we learned in Jewish gematria, prophecy sums to 666. That earthquake was said to be the worst in Italy since 1980, 36 years earlier. And as we have learned, 666 is the 36th triangular number. Boy, oh my word, I need to. Sticking with the Catholic theme, I have to encourage you to watch the film V for Vendetta, where the protagonist is against a government that is very much like the one described in George Orwell's 1984. The film is made in tribute to Guy Fawkes, the Jesuit who in the gunpowder plot of November 5th, 1605, attempted to assassinate King James and destroy the English Parliament. Say it ain't so. He was trying to kill King James. Now see, that part I did not know, or if I heard, I don't remember hearing that. I have to read that one more time. I mean, what? The film is made in, what film is it? Okay, V for Vendetta. Okay, so sticking with the Catholic theme, I have to encourage you to watch the film, and I need to write that down right now because I've never seen V for Vendetta, and I'm going to write that down right now. V for Vendetta. I will make a point to watch that. So, sticking with the Catholic theme, I have to encourage you to watch the film V for Vendetta, where the protagonist is against a government that is very much like the one described in George Orwell's 1984. Now, I read that book. Okay, the film is made in tribute to Guy Fawkes, the Jesuit who in the gunpowder plot of November 5th, 1605, attempted to assassinate King James and destroy the English Parliament. You will notice November 5th, 1605 was 65 years and 39 days after the Jesuits were recognized by Rome on September 27, 1540. This matters because gunpowder sums to 39 and United Kingdom equates to 65. And at the same time, gunpowder plot equates to 165, not too far off from 1605. All this shit probably made up. As for the title, V for Vendetta, it sums to 172, corresponding with Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam, the Jesuit motto. For another Catholic connection, the film released on March 17, 2006, a date with 46 numerology, corresponding with the gematria of Catholic. It could also be expressed as 17/3, 17:3, and Roman Catholicism equates to 173. More important than the numbers, though, is what the film is about and what time period it is set in, which is around the year 2020. Having been released more than a decade earlier, the storyline involves details that the UK is still standing despite the United States of America having already fallen due to terrorism, war, disease, and poor government planning. In this dystopian world, curfews are in effect, and liberties are few, especially when it comes to the type of information and entertainment one is allowed to have access to. Well, thank you, Zach, for getting this book out before this shit takes place. In terms of symbolism, the film begins with the destruction of British Parliament on the date of November 5th. Thus the phrase, remember, remember the 5th of November, you mofos. Ain't that some stuff too? Wow. So, man, this is just mind-blowing to me. So, in terms of symbolism, the film begins with the destruction of British Parliament and on the date of November 5th. Thus the phrase, remember, remember the 5th of November. You have to keep in mind, this eye-grabbing scene came less than 5 years after the destruction of the World Trade Centers in the United States, an image still fresh in everyone's mind who was alive at the time. And you're absolutely right, Zach, because I swear to God, it feels like 9/11 just happened last week for me. It never went away, like it just happened. It always felt like it just happened, and that is just, freaking crazy. And for a math note, on November 5th, 11 is the fifth prime number, and September 11th had very much to do with the master number 11. Wow. To take it even further, Guy Fawkes was born April 13th, 1570, meaning he was on his 207th day of being 35 years old on the day of the plot. This is interesting, because terrorist attack sums to 207 with simple English, similar to the magician summing to 207 with reverse simple. If you are not aware, the magician is the first card of the tarot deck, and in light of 9/11 happening in 2001, emphasis on 01, something like the first card, please know that the word magic sums to 33 with simple English and 102 with reverse simple English. As you'll recall, the 9/11 attacks came 33 years after 1968, the year of years, and lasted 102 minutes. For Judy Wood researchers, you'll appreciate that direct energy weapon also equates to 207. What some contend turned the World Trade Center buildings to dust on September 11, 2001. Oh my God. In addition to books, TV shows, and movies, the world of video games is also ripe with predictive programming for coronavirus. Take the game Resident Evil, for example. On January 26, 2020, 5 days after coronavirus was confirmed in the United States and hours before the death of Kobe Bryant, news had gone viral on the web that the company out of Shanghai, not far from Wuhan, Rulian, R-U-I-L-A-N, Rulian Baohun San Biotech. So let me read all of that, spell all that for you, because I'm not doing a great job with this. Okay, so the first name, Rulian Baohun Biotech. So this company had nearly the exact same logo as Umbrella Corporation, the source of evil in the Resident Evil series that is responsible for unleashing a virus that mutates the world into zombies. In light of the symbol being a Maltese cross. Okay, let me reread that. In light of the symbol being shared, being a Maltese cross, the symbol of the oldest order of knights in the world that serve the Catholic Church, the same as the Knights Templars and the Knights Hospitaller, Hospitaller, and the Knights of Columbus. It should come as no surprise that Shanghai Rulan Biohu San Biotech, that phrase, that name, or what would you call it, the name of the company, it sums to 132 with Pythagorean, similar to how Catholic Church sums to 132 with simple English. At the same time, the viral news took place on a date with 74 numerology, and Malta, Malta, sums to 147, the same as Vatican. For more familiar numbers, Resident Evil sums to 61, 142, and 182, the same as Year of the Rat. And the number 142 reminds us of coronavirus. The name of the game also sums to 61 and 74, reminding us of the Event 201 date, October 18th, leaving 74 days in the year, and 61, the 18th prime, reminding us of Inferno on Bill Gates' 61st birthday. A man who seems to think of himself as a god based on his behavior and worldview. At the same time, let us not forget that the Event 201 simulation runs 18 months, or that IHS and Sun, SUN, equate to 18. For another zombie hit, summing to 61 and 74, try The Walking Dead, a series that began October 31st, 2010, the day leaving 61 days left in the year, and a date with 71 numerology. Keep in mind the show begins in Atlanta, home of the CDC, summing to 71, and established on July 1st, or 7/1. On March 22nd, 2020, comicbook.com published an article after interviewing the creator of The Walking Dead, who revealed for the first time that the zombie apocalypse in his hit show began because of space spore, SPACESPORE. He did not elaborate, but in gematria terms, space spore sums to 54 and 153, the same as Jesuit order. Furthermore, the creator's name, Robert Kirkman, sums to 155 with simple English and 65 with Pythagorean. As you know, coronavirus sums to 155 with simple, and pandemic equates to 65 in the same cipher. Oh my God, Zach, you have done so much work here. It's just fascinating. Gematria is the shit, because it just exposes everything, everyone who's participating. It's crazy. Alright, moving right along. I should also note zombie equates to 70, the same as coronavirus. As for why the article was published on the date it was, March 22nd, it might be because Kirkman was 41 years old at the time, corresponding with the Pythagorean gematria of skull and bones, and beyond that, his birthday is November 30th, meaning George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st president and the Skull and Bones alumni, died on the creator's birthday in 2018 at the age of 94. That also means Paul Walker, who starred in Skulls a film title having gematria equating to 41 and 94 and being about skull and bones, died on his birthday, November 30th, 2013. 41 is the 13th prime in a red Porsche, just like the Porsche he drove in Skulls. I'll also note that Skulls sums to 68 in light of the year 1968 and how from George W. Bush's birthday to September 11th is a span of 68 days. And because I hate to talk about too many numbers at once, we'll ignore the fact that Paul Walker died on a date with 54 and 74 numerology. Back on the subject of Resident Evil and March 22nd, the first game in the series released on the infamous date of March 22nd, 1996. The year 96 is relevant because Corona equates to 96. So does William Henry Gates as well as Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Keep in mind, Gates had just become the world's richest man nearly a year earlier. And in light of March 22nd, don't forget that novel coronavirus sums to 223, with simple English, a novel virus that was foretold in a novel, truly. In a book, absolutely. In terms of the details of the game, it was set in Raccoon City, summing to 54 with Pythagorean gematria, the same as Jesuit order, and while not being a perfect anagram, having the letters to make up the word corona. Raccoon City. Oh my god. And while not being a perfect anagram, having the letters making up the word corona. And with the Jesuits in mind, the video game was called Biohazard in Japan, summing to 84. With simple English, same as Jesuit. Also relevant, March 22nd, 1996 had numerology of 121. And the second game in the series released on January 21st, 1998, 22 years before Wuhan, summing to 22 and Pythagorean, was confirmed in the United States of America. What's funny is Chris Redfield is the hero of the first Resident Evil, and Robert Redfield is the director of the CDC during the time of the pandemic. Not by chance. March 11, 2020, the date of the pandemic was declared as the date the pandemic was declared was 121 days before Robert Redfield's 69th birthday, meaning he is 68 at the time of the coronavirus pandemic on July 10, 2020, which is the 191st day of the Gregorian calendar year in non-leap years, corresponding with Society of Jesus, and the fact that he attended Georgetown, the Jesuit university. Even better, the names Robert Redfield and Chris Redfield both equate to 78, the same as Jesuit and Wuhan coronavirus. For another 78, the hero of the second game is named Leon Scott Kennedy, summing to 78 and 201. Wow, what was a haunting headline to read on April 17, 2020 was that the voice actor for the same character, Leon Scott Kennedy, had died at 56, the coronavirus number. He died 6 days prior to the story being reported in Toronto on April 11, the 102nd day of the year and the 82nd day of coronavirus being confirmed in North America, counting from January 21st. I wonder if the reporting of his death 6 days later was by accident, because he died prematurely in Toronto, summing to 36 in Pythagorean, the same as his name, Paul Haddad, Haddad. It's a Bible name, Haddad, okay? Paul Haddad. Keep in mind, 36 has a square root of 6, and 666 is the 36th triangular number, because Capcom, C-A-P-C-O-M, who makes the Resident Evil series, sums to 666 with reverse Sumerian. For another example of 6 and Toronto, you might recall how the Toronto Raptors won the NBA Finals, summing to 666 with Sumerian gematria in Game 6 in a city known as The Six because of the rapper Drake, the man from Toronto, and who the 2019 NBA Finals were scripted in tribute to. Furthermore, for the sports buff, you should know Canada sums to 24 with simple English, and it won its first championship after 24 years of being in the NBA. Of course, the number 24 is 6 in numerology terms. You should also know it was won on June 13th, where 13 is the 6th prime, and the Raptors' motto, "We the North," sums to 136, not unlike the date 13-6. And for more familiar numbers, the name Paul Haddad sums to 54 and 72, the same as Jesuit order. You should also know Ontario is a Jesuit stronghold, and Toronto, Ontario sums to 74, the same as Resident Evil and Killing. It also sums to 79, the same as Society of Jesus and Murder. Also relevant, the date of the news of Haddad's passing, April 17th, can be expressed as 17-4, not unlike 174, corresponding with the gematria of number of the beast. Making matters even more disturbing, on the same day as the news of Paul Haddad's death at 56, April 17th, it was reported that video game voice actor Philippe Duarte had died at age 46. So let me spell this gentleman's name. Philippe, Philippe Duarte, D-U-A-R-T-E. He died at age 46, a number connected to sacrifice, virus, and Catholic, and reminding us that Genesis 46 begins with a sacrifice. The actor would have turned 47 years old on June 5th, 2020, a date that can be written 5-6 or 6-5. The game he was remembered for, I'm sorry, excuse me, like I just have hiccups or something. Okay, the game he was remembered for being a part of is a survival game called Days Gone that released April 26, 2019. The game is set in Oregon in the near future, 2 years after a pandemic has changed the world as we know it. In other words, both games are about surviving disasters, the same reality many people of the world are facing today because of the problems the coronavirus has brought about, most of which have nothing to do with the virus itself. Even further, linking the reasoning for why the 2 deaths were reported on the same day in the same news cycle is the fact that April 17th, 2020 had 61 date numerology. As we covered, Resident Evil sums to 61, and in the case of Philippe Duarte, he voiced the character Deacon St. John, summing to 61 as well. At the same time, the Cabal is playing God, a word having Jewish gematria of 61 in the year of the rats, and you guys are rats. My God. For another video game parallel, Elon Musk made waves on May 2nd, 2020, with headlines referring to himself as the hero of Deus Ex, D-E-U-S-E-X, a character named J.C. Denton. Okay? If you're not familiar, and I am not, if you're not familiar with the video game, it is set in 2052, at a time when America has been wrecked by terrorism and plague, thus explaining the May 2nd or 5/2 news. Also, as you learned earlier, technology has Pythagorean geometry of 52, and Elon Musk is Mr. Technology. Thus, it is fitting that he would refer to himself as DC Denton, a fictional man with superhuman abilities because of the nanotechnology that is operating within his body. In the video game, JC Denton is in battle with factions known as the Illuminati, Triads, and Majestic 12, and what really brings this fact to light is that the character Psalms 2:131 on May 11th of 2020, which is the 131st day of the year, Elon Musk made international headlines for defying California state orders by saying he was reopening his California Tesla plant. In response, a number of mainstream outlets referred to Musk's move as creating a standoff, a word equating to 131 with reverse simple, the same as J.C. Denton. Even more, May 11th was 48 days before Musk's 49th birthday, meaning he was still 48 years old at the time, and Illuminati has Pythagorean geometry of 48, the main enemy of J.C. Denton in the Deus Ex series. For some more familiar numbers, Deus Ex, D-E-U-S-E-X, sums to 78 and 84, the same as Jesuit. And for one more thought, the number 131 is the 32nd prime, and the year 2052 that the game is set in will come 32 years after 2020, the year of the outbreak. In light of the subject matter of the game and the way predictive programming is often used to accurately forecast the future, these are things all people should consider, because before long, the youth of today, like my grandbabies, will be the young adults in 2052, and we don't want the world to be for them what it is projected to be in games such as Deus Ex. To put it into perspective how fast time goes by, development began for Deus Ex in 1994, the year Bill and Melinda were married, a year that was just 26 years prior to 2020. Of course, Bill's former company is now making the nanotechnology that was only part of science fiction, such as Deus Ex in 94. For many of us, 1994 wasn't all that long ago, and we were just children then, not knowing that our futures were being plotted against us. So as adults now, seeing what is coming, it is our responsibility to act on behalf of not only ourselves, but for the sake of the future generations who don't have the opportunity to. Because of the mention of the Majestic 12 in the Deus Ex series, I am reminded of 12 Monkeys, a film that has since been made into a TV show. In the film, a deadly virus is unleashed on the world in 1996, killing most of the Earth's population, emphasis on 96, corresponding with the gematria of corona, equating to 96. In that film, Bruce Willis stars, and on April 6, 2020, what is typically the 96th day of the year, Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, and their children were uploaded to social media in a family photo, quarantining together and wearing the same green striped matching pajamas. Then the next day, April 7th, emphasis on 47 or 74, all mainstream media had a story about the photo, pointing out that Bruce Willis and Demi Moore haven't been seen together in such a photo since their divorce in 2000. What made this funny is where Demi Moore, pajamas and stripes, sum to 47, Bruce Willis sums to 74. Thus, it was clearly all a ritual. Okay? And in light of the title 12 Monkeys, the name sums to 102. monkeys, Psalms 2:102, one of the more important numbers in the coronavirus ritual. Let us not forget the film is set in Philadelphia, equating to 223, the same as novel coronavirus. Wow. For another dystopian piece of entertainment that gave us a look into the future, look no further than the Comedy Central's The Daily Show, starring Trevor Noah. You know, and I was wondering, thank you, Zach, because I was like, Trevor Noah's on TV. I think he's funny as heck, but I was like, man, all right, let's get into this. Okay. For another dystopian piece of entertainment that gave us a look into the future, look no further than Comedy Central's The Daily Show, starring Trevor Noah, who on November 1st, 2016, 1 week before the rigged selection of Donald Trump as president, he did a comedy bit on what the world would look like on Halloween, October 31st, 2020, about 4 years into the Donald Trump presidency. Okay, here we go. What the bit projects is that the United States of America is in ruins. There has been a total economic collapse. The dollar is worthless. China owns America after Trump's trade deals. People are in masks rioting. And the police have been disbanded and replaced by technology. Oh, come on, Trevor Noah. Yeah, but I knew you had to be a part of the gang if you're on TV. Trevor Noah even brings up Tom Hanks in the bit. Worse yet, he makes a joke about Steve Harvey and a hurricane 9 months before TMZ made a big deal about Steve Harvey sitting ringside at the Floyd Mayweather boxing match that was taking place as the flood rains from Hurricane Harvey poured down on Texas that led to the submerging of the state on August 27, the 27-year anniversary of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, whose best-selling album was Texas Flood. Man, ain't that some BS? These bastards ain't none of y'all no good. As of the time of finishing this book, a little more than a few months before Halloween 2020. All of this exaggerated except for Hurricane Harvey, but all at the same time. There's no doubt that the comedy bit shed light on what we're experiencing and what some might have thought was impossible just 4 years ago. Absolutely. Furthermore, it shed light on the direction we're being taken that must be stopped. On the subject of hurricanes and weather warfare, if you have not read my first book, you really should, and he's absolutely correct. Please read his books, both of them. In it, you will learn that weather warfare and the ability to induce flooding was admitted by the Royal Air Force in 1952, emphasis on 52. They admitted it in that year because earth, flood, and hurricane each equate to 52. And in the case of the Texas flooding, August 27, 2017, that was a date with 52 numerology, plus it was the 239th day of the year, the 52nd prime number. And in very recent history, on July 25th, 2020, the first hurricane of the season to make landfall, Hannah, did so on Texas, and once again on a date with 52 numerology. In light of it happening on the 25th, hurricane also sums to 97, the 25th prime, and flood equates to 25 as well. Furthermore, with the base ciphers, Hannah sums to 97 and 25 as well as 20, the latter number making it the perfect trend setter for 2020. When you get a moment, look up the article from May 7th, 2020, a date with 52 numerology, about how AccuWeather forecasted a very active hurricane season, predicting 11 hurricanes and 4 major hurricanes for 2020. In light of the word hurricane, also having gematria of 56, and 2020 being the year of 56 related stories, it is a safe bet to count on. Oh my word. And let us not forget the Houston Astros. Have won the World Series one time, and it was in their 56th season after the flooding of Houston, Texas by Harvey. That was the same year Matt Harvey became the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after the flooding, and his appearance was 52 days before the start of the World Series. To conclude this chapter, something that is hard to do because there are no less than 500 other topics I would like to discuss in terms of predictive programming for both coronavirus and 9/11, such as Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off a bat on January 20th, 1982, a date that can be written 201 in the year of the computer, in light of bats being blamed for coronavirus after Event 201, and Season 3, Episode 20 of Are We There Yet?, titled The Quarantine Episode. Oh my goodness. Whew. This is just crazy. Okay. Are we there yet? Titled The Quarantine Episode, that debuted on October 12, 2012, where Ice Cube's character explains, while under government stay-at-home orders, that the monkey flu is a government drill to test the emergency response system and to see how well the populace obeys their commands. And the August 1997 U.S. Department of Justice document entitled Emergency Response to Terrorism Self-Study that shows a picture of the New York skyline with a bullseye on the Trade Center and the 10th Kingdom Television Ministries summing 256 like Rockefeller that debuted February 27, 2000 and concluded March 26 of that year. The date written like 26-3 like 263, the 56th prime, and reminding us of the 3 planes that hit targets on September 11th with the flight numbers equating to 263, and all of this mattering because the World Trade Center towers are shown crumbling to the ground in this fictional series, and Disney's Gargoyles series that began October 24th, 1994. Yep, 1994, the day leaving 68 days left in the year. In light of it beginning with an attack on the World Trade Center, having gematria of 94, and having opened on the 94th day of 1973 after construction began on the buildings in 1968, and the Last Man Standing series summing to 68 and 94 that pays tribute to Elvis and debuted its second season on September 27th, the date the Jesuits were recognized by Rome, and concluded on May 6, 2018, emphasis on 56 or 5-6, and The Secret about Supertramp's 1979 album cover artwork for Breakfast in America, and the details of Bill Gates' 1997 interview in George magazine. A must-read that focused on the future and the year 2020 specifically. If you can find the issue, I suggest you read it. And for the record, I have much of the contents of that article posted on my website, Gematria Effect News, where you can also find the source information and references for what is written in this book. Also, I have a chapter dedicated to the predictive programming for 9/11 in my first book, Letters and Numbers, if you are interested. Absolutely. What is essential to take away from this chapter is simply put, we are being conned. And worst of all, we are being conned by people who we are allowing to be in charge of us because of our own behaviors and actions, or lack thereof. We are allowing this by paying taxes. We are allowing this by shrugging our shoulders and voting for the lesser of two evils, what amounts to choosing between two puppets that are working for the same puppet masters. And we are allowing it by supporting their enterprises with mass consumerism, as well as by supporting Hollywood and cable television with our dollars, the same things that mock us with our planned dystopian destiny. Man, are you telling the truth? Oh my God. It is our duty then to change this, because for us to be under their control much longer will ensure the doom of not only ourselves but future generations. This is the 666 Klan. After all that we're allowing, this is the 666 Klan after all that we're allowing to lead us around. And to illustrate this point, I want to leave you with one more example of predictive programming from the old television show Trackdown. The episode of Focus debuted May 9th, 1958, and was about a con man named Trump, who arrived in a small Texas town, telling the people who inhabited it that a great storm was coming, and only he had the solution to save their lives. The name of the town was Talpa, Texas, equating to 119 with simple English like Donald with Jewish gematria, reminding us of Trump's CERTA ad with the sheep numbered 11 and 9, and that he was announced as president-elect on November 9th, 2016, winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election, 58 years after this television show aired in 1958, complimenting how Trump announced he was running for president from the 58-story Trump Tower, and before hiring the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. And as for the date, May 9th or 9/5 or 5/9, the latter reminds he is now running for re-election in the 59th U.S. presidential election. Getting back to the show, what the con man Trump tells the people of Talpa is that if they don't buy the miracle solution he is selling, they will die on November 14th, the day leaving 47 days left in the year, the number corresponding with the gematria of Trump, president, government, authority, Vatican, and the cabal. If somehow you think this episode is a coincidence regarding the current president, Donald Trump, think again, because Trackdown sums to 37 with Pythagorean gematria, and it was released 37 days before Trump's 12th birthday, June 14, 1958, where 37 is the 12th prime. My goodness. Personally, it reminds me of the time we called American Pharaoh, the misspelled Triple Crown winner, fold on the 33rd day of the year. Sorry about that. Let me back up a minute. Okay. Personally, it reminds me of the time we called American Pharaoh, the misspelled Triple Crown winner, fold on the 33rd day of the year in 2012 to win the Triple Crown in 2015 before a single race was won by the horse, because it had been 37 years since the last Triple Crown winner, and American Pharaoh was to become the 12th Triple Crown winner, as he did. Keep in mind, American sums to 37 in Pythagorean, explaining why Donald Trump was at Mount Rushmore on July 3rd, 2020, or 37, the site of the Great American Monument, campaigning under the slogan Keep America Great, the same one used in The Purge, and regarding the gematria of the slogan equating to 138, the same as Donald Trump. It's not by chance that Mount Rushmore National Memorial it's not by chance that Mount Rushmore National Memorial sums to 138 with Pythagorean, just like Donald Trump. Okay. It's also not a coincidence that Rushmore sums to 45 with both Pythagorean ciphers, the same as Mike Pence, the vice president, to number 45, Donald Trump. And it's not And it's also not a coincidence that Mount Rushmore sums to 65 and 151, the same as pandemic, or to 70 in the same cipher as coronavirus. This was made clear when the mainstream media immediately began to broadcast that the gathering could spark an outbreak in South Dakota, a state that had drastically less cases than any other members of the lower 48. So think about it. Truth seeker, and ask yourself, do you want to stand up to this tyranny, or do you want to continue to be played for fools up until the moment we get purged by this cabal that literally mocks us day after day, year after year, decade after decade? My goodness. Absolutely not. I do not want to be mocked anymore. Day after day, year after year, decade after decade. And that is the end of chapter 14. I do hope that you guys will like the video, give it a share so that someone else can find the work and share the work and learn the work and hopefully teach the work. And now I want to tell you guys how to get Zachary K. Hubbard's book, Letters and Numbers. You can get it by visiting Zachary K. Hubbard's YouTube channels, Gematria Effect News or Gematria Effect Sports, Gematria Effect Sports or Gematria Effect News. And in the description of each of the videos that he produces, he leaves a link for you to purchase the book, Letters and Numbers. The book only costs $5, the best $5 you will ever spend. And as you can hear, this information is just phenomenal. And this stuff isn't happening by chance. It isn't happening because the Most High put these people in place. These people are put in place via a code. A code. The Most High has not put these people in place. The powers that are playing God, men who are playing God, they put these presidents in place. Barack Obama, Clinton, George Washington. It's them. And I know I'm not wrong. I mean, you can see the evidence. This is what is going on. It is gematria. And I think we just need to wake up to this BS and quit thinking that these are things that the Most High is doing for us. You know, it's not. These people are wicked as hell, and the people need to wake up to just say no more. There's some kind of way we have to do it as a people. We have children growing up. I got grandbabies that's growing up now. You know, 30 years from now, it's going to be a lot worse than what it is now. So we just need to wake up. But anyway, the book Letters and Numbers is going to come to you once you pay for it as an email, as a PDF file, so be sure you save the file. He left the copyright off this book so that you can have this book made into a book, bound into a book for your own personal library. You can do that by uploading it to lulu.com or by contacting your local bindery and letting them know you want to have it made into a book. One of my subscribers sent me a video showing how she had just got her book back from lulu.com. Very beautiful book. And for less than $30. So I would probably go with just lulu.com, because you could just do it within the comfort of your own home, since you're on lockdown anyway, pretty much. And also this book here, Number Games, 9/11 to Coronavirus, which I just finished reading. This book is available on Amazon, and it was released today, October 13th. And you can get it by going there and making a purchase, or if you don't want to order it from Amazon, you can visit Zachary K. Hubbard's blog page, gematriaeffectnews.blogspot.com, and order it there. The first thing you'll see when you get to his blog page is the advertising for the book, Number Games, 9/11 to Coronavirus, and as you scroll down, you will see the instructions on how to purchase the book within the United States and abroad. So that's all I want to say, and I hope you guys will please get his books. Read the book. You know, we're gonna need something tangible. You know, if Master P's not Master P, forgive me, Master P, I didn't mean you, but Public Enemy just released an album called What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down. So, you know, there might come a time we won't even have access to the PDF file. So yes, I am planning to get my book made into a hard copy within the next week or two. But with that said, you guys enjoy the video and enjoy all the other readings, and hopefully I will be done with this book within a week or two, or maybe less, because like I said, this book is a page turner and it's only 300 pages in it, in this book. And let me see, what page am I on? I'm in chapter 15 now, and I'm already on page 213, so I should be done in a few days. Anyway, thank you for listening, and you guys have a good evening. Bye.